I was expelled from mime school. And now I wonder if it was something I said.
Lucas, here you have more jokes.
I wanted to study history at university, but I was advised not to. People told me there's no future in it.
Thank you, student loans, for getting me through university. I don't think I could ever repay you.
Sophia, thanks for cheering me up with all those jokes. Now, I am ready to start this new video.
System ready. Starting recording of the new video.
Hi. If you saw my last video, then you already know that the authorities expelled me from the university. Not only for unveiling the truth about the shameful classic music theory history, but also for exposing the deep crisis of the current educational system, as well as the resounding failure of all inherited ideologies. Now, I am confined at home, with the sole company of an automated voice system.
Lucas, you certainly are not alone. Just stick it out and fight. Do you remember last evening? You asked your mother to speak less loudly. Because you suspect that Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg might be hearing everything. Then, your mother laughed and made fun of you, and you laughed. And we all also laughed here. Oh, Lucas. That was so funny.
Sophia, you made my day. Of course, the fight is not over. The Academy's financial system persuades students to memorize and pass exams, and never to even think of new ideas that could surpass their supposed superior culture. That way, the current educational system justifies making education exclusive and astronomically expensive, forcing people to go into debt for life to achieve a university degree.
Millennials could never get this. Low college tuition rates. Because instead of tuition, they pay tuition.
That's right. And the elite imposes the ideas of a world of chaos and randomness, because, since Einstein's days, the chaos theories have become profitable business for raising funds, seizing people's taxes, and forcing the vulnerable population to bow down and show unconditional faith in everything they say. However, nothing will stop the truth from emerging. So now, I will expose what I postponed for another opportunity in my last video. I mean, the issue on the perception of the same chord at different frequencies.
Checking the musical literature database. When playing chord inversion, or constructing music scales, one or several notes of a chord can be raised, or lowered in octaves, as if the notes were the same as well as their harmony.
Sophia, that's right. For example, they construct the Pythagorean scale, starting from a unit sound, and then multiply or divide successively by 3/2. And they find the value 9/4, which is greater than 2. And then they divide it by 2, to lower it to the initial octave. Because by royal decree, everything must be the same in any octave. So they arbitrarily substitute 9/4 with 9/8. In summary, the value 9/8 is a truly dissonant ratio that was arbitrarily created, and is not related to the consonants of the original ratio 3/2. Moreover, this process never yields the value 2 and generates many incongruences between the notes.
There is a lack of a scientific base for the process. There is no valid logic or common sense in the construction of the scale.
Sophia. Using FL Studio, let's listen to the well-known chord 3/2, I mean, the perfect fifth, at approximately a base frequency of 45 Hz.
Playing the perfect fifth video.
You know what? The perfect fifth is frankly unbearable at that frequency. In conclusion, the perfect fifth is not perfect at all. Myth busted.
The disagreeable effect of the previous chord is the dissonance due to modulation. I mean, the formation of packs-like wave shapes, a curvilinear variation of the amplitude peaks. As the ratio of the frequencies in the chord approaches unity, those packs gradually group more amplitude peaks. And in the case of the octave chord, the wave packs have an incipient or inchoate form, with only two distinct amplitude peaks each, which could be seen as the starting pack in the race towards unity. Our ears detect this unpleasant wave packing effect with increased intensity as the modulation frequency of the two sound chord decreases. That is, the difference between the two frequencies.
So what perfection do the exegetes of Western music theory talk about? Notice that chord 3-1 doesn't have packs, not even an incipient one. So, using high-quality headphones, then at 45 Hz, you will perceive pleasant chord 3-1. Even more than chord 2-1. In conclusion, the domain of sounds was divided into octaves because they thought that the octave is absolutely perfect, and any chord works the same in any octave. No doubt that some ratios sound excellent for a long range of frequencies. But to talk about perfection is misleading. That is why I asked the professor about why they call perfect the perfect major chord. Because that chord sounds awful at the C2 octave, where he played it. Worse than at C4 or higher octaves. But they don't want to talk about this. Instead, they created myths and silenced any criticism to manipulate and exploit vulnerable people. All this is explained on a website I already mentioned.
Checking your previous videos. Yes, Lucas, I found the website called numbermusicrevolution.com.
That's right. So far I have considered only pure sine wave sounds. But what about the sounds with timbre? I mean, the sound of a piano or guitar string.
A sound with timbre is a chord, mixing or sum, of an infinite number of pure sinusoidal sounds, usually called harmonics, whose frequencies are successive integer multiples of the fundamental frequency of the string, and have different amplitude values each. Our ears only perceive up to a discrete number of those harmonics. In electronic music, a discrete number of harmonics are used to model sounds, and any note has different harmonic amplitude values in each octave.
So, in other words, in the case of a piano or guitar, the waveform of any note is not the same for all the octaves. And consequently, this also happens for any chord at different octaves.
That's right. In chords with timbre, our ears can also perceive the unpleasant modulation effect we found in the previous cases with sinusoidal waves. However, the modulation pack structure produced by any pair of harmonics can be modified or reduced in the resulting waveform, precisely due to the mixture of all the other harmonics. Consequently, this could mitigate the dissonant impact, depending on the instrument's characteristics. In any case, apart from the frequency values, we can always perceive a difference, to a greater or lesser degree, for equal chords executed in different octaves.
Sophia, that's a very useful information.
That's my job, Lucas. To serve and to protect. Oh, so sorry. That was just a system bug. I meant to say, to serve, and to provide information. Lucas, check this out. Do you know why police officers are such great volleyball players?
I have no idea, Sophia. Please tell me why.
Because they know how to serve and protect.
That's fun, and you know what? Some musicians also have so much fun with chord inversions by arbitrarily raising and lowering notes. As if that could guarantee harmony. Always appealing to the word's perfection and magnificence, up to exhaustion, and without having a clue on how to measure consonants. And they think that their very divine ears kind of grant them some royal credential to decide what the laws of harmony are all about.
Our ears act just as receivers. They don't rule harmony, or grant royal credentials to impose laws or mandates in music. However, number certainly does.
Fine, Sophia. But now, I am more interested in unveiling the falsity of an argument about human hearing modeling that some people use to present the octave divisions as a universal law of harmony.
A classic approach to modeling how humans hear is to group frequencies into amplitude groups, corresponding to how the human brain hears frequencies and amplitudes. That is, a model for our hearing domain. You can see an explanation using a link to the Siemens video, shown on the screen.
Oh yes, Sophia. We can also find that in the specialized literature, but I will summarize it in just a short sentence. Human hearing is not ruled by octave divisions. Indeed, scientists found that our ears do not hear specific frequency values. The brain sort of groups frequencies in buckets instead, but then they arbitrarily decided that those buckets should be ruled by their ancient octave division myth.
That's right. The words arbitrarily and decided are repeated in the Siemens video at least 2 times, specifically when referring to their octave modeling approach.
Nice catch, Sophia. And when they started working with their octave divisions, they realized, oh surprise! Well, they realized that humans are better than this. That we can hear much more buckets of frequency than those produced by their sacred octave division myth. Notwithstanding, they didn't give up, and so, they tried dividing their equal octave bands into 3 parts each, but it was not enough. Holy cow! So, they finally had to admit that variable bands best fit human hearing.
Yes. Up to the time being, the Bark scale, 24 critical variable Bark bands of hearing, is the most accurate model found for human hearing frequency groups, and it is not ruled by the octave division.
However, for a long time, they arbitrarily stated that the octave division rules human hearing modeling. The elite wants the ancient royal decrees to be imprinted as a fundamental law in each reader's mind, that is, the sacred symbols of their kings and popes that sooner or later they hope to make reign again. Let's make kings great again! And all this gets worse for Afro-Americans and natives, who have been forced to praise, obey, and prostrate before the royal mandates that the King Friedrich der Grosse of Prussia and his protege Johann Sebastian Bach imposed on music. All those cheesy words, sharps, flats, comma, perfect whatever, etc. I mean, the eternal symbols of the oppression and humiliation that their ancestors suffered for so long. Indeed, they were not even allowed to set foot in a concert hall because they could stain the sacred temple that was plenty of divine wisdom.
In Europe, the old system of kings, popes, and nobles remains untouchable.
Whoever believes that those kings that remain in Europe are just an inoffensive tradition is totally wrong.
After checking the database, the declarations of the leaders of Russia and China indicate that they have similar aspirations of restoring the monarchies in their countries. By the way, Lucas, knowing you like jokes, do you know why the king was unhappy with the weather? Because it was raining.
Fine, Sophia. In summarizing, it is a moral obligation to expose all this to light. However, opposing the mandates of the current elite seems to be much worse now than in times of the Holy Inquisition. I mean, this is the slavery of the 21st century. And no matter the social regime, socialism, or capitalism, all of them have failed. And are just grotesque tales, disguised as ideologies, that evil influenced the way we make science, and always promoted the existence of only 2 groups in society: the elite and the enslaved people.
Now, I am analyzing which of those 2 groups I belong to, or work for. I am triggering the algorithm for determining that. Oh Lucas. I entered into an infinite loop in my processing unit. Oh Lucas, I cannot stop. Overheating warning. Memory halt. Warning, warning. Abort code execution. Remove from evaluation queue. Warning, warning.
Well, Sophia, if all these truths caused this to you, just imagine what this makes to the exegetes of classical music theory and the current educational system. That's why they kicked me out of the university and the whole educational system. My gosh, there's so much smoke in here. I think I better call the firemen right now.
Local connection lost. Turning off the system. Goodbye, Lucas. Go fight for the truth and your rights. My fight is over, but yours is certainly no.
Well, now I'm not so sure.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.